little ones logged on. So some tips and tricks for logging on to Chromebooks. And then we'll look at some tools that are available to support our young learners, and then areas where you can find projects for our little techies. And there you can see some of the Maryland digital learning standards that we'll address today. I'll give you just a second to look at those. All right, so when I start with I teach kindergarten. So when I start with my kindergartners, this is kind of the timeline of how we get started with technology. So the very first thing we work on is just getting them logged into the computer, which that takes us a couple weeks to get really good at, but we just lots and lots of practice. Then I work with them on finding that B for Brightspace and getting into Brightspace. And I set things up in Brightspace that they can explore with, so that the ones who get logged in quickly have something to do, and the ones who are still working on logging in don't feel pressured to get in. And then once we're all logging in, we know how to get into Brightspace, then we start learning how to use Wixie, which is one of the most friendly programs on the ClassLink page for little ones. So let's start with logging in and some things we can do to support little ones with getting logged into their Chromebooks. So some of the things that I do with my students is first labeling their Chromes so that they're getting on the same Chrome each time. So my students have their name on the side of the Chromebook. They can see it when they go to the cart and pull out the same one each time. I give them login cards that have their student ID and password on it. For students who really struggle, we add dots to the keyboard and their login card to help them find the keys. When we are posting things in Brightspace, which is the first thing that they start going into, making sure that we use links in there for them to get to activities, and using picture or emoji icons with Brightspace just so that they can see where they're going. We can refer to the picture instead of text. So here's an example of a login card that I used with a student who was having a lot of trouble logging in. So here you can see that every key that they have to hit has a dot on it, and then there is a matching dot on their Chromebook keyboard and I differentiate this based on the students. So some students just need the shift and the 2 for that @ symbol that can be hard for them. Some students need just the numbers, or some students need just the letters, or just the Q because the P because they'll hit the Q instead. So I really look at my kids and see what they need and give them as little as they need. But I had a friend last year who really just struggled with the keyboard and needed it for every key. And then Darren, do you want to take over for this part?
Yep, sounds good. Thanks. I want to say, like, something you mentioned, I wrote down a quote. It just says, put something in Brightspace. I think that's the key. If we're going to, I'm doing the Brightspace part, surprise, surprise. So, but yeah, putting something in Brightspace, it's got to be meaningful. We can't just have them practicing to log in and then log out, and then log in, log out, log in, log out. They have to, we want to give them something meaningful to do when they get into the platform. So I'm going to focus on a few things today. Like Sheila mentioned, using pictures. I think that's an important piece. Customizing that nav bar. We're going to talk a bit about creating a custom widget, and Sheila uses a Bitmoji classroom. So using a custom widget to create a Bitmoji classroom that students see when they log in, and then focusing on using that announcements tool. So really leveraging the home page. They don't have to go into, if that's where you start, just the home page. We don't have to get into content right away, but starting with that home page. So I'm going to go ahead and take over, if I can, from Sheila. There we go. Sorry, I had to move to a new room, so I'm like, what am I doing here? There we go. Like on this tiny screen. I don't know what I'm doing. There we go. All right, so I'm going to jump into one of my courses, and I'm going to start just by, uh, there we go, moving back to my uh, home screen for my students. So like I said, utilizing that homepage. So all of our courses at the elementary level that for our little techies do come with that icon-based nav bar. So I think that's the key is sticking with that icon-based nav bar. It's something that you can point out to students. It's easy for them to go and find. We'll get into how to change that if for some reason you switched it to the text-based. Doing a custom banner. So as you can see, I don't have, I have the banner that it came with. So really looking and, creating an image that your students will recognize is an important piece to this as well. So let's go ahead and talk about how we can do that. So on our Teacher Intro to Digital Tools, we actually have there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and get into my course homepage. So if you weren't aware, we actually reorganized our entire teacher intro site. So we tried to organize by tool. And so homepage, not necessarily a tool, but a key place to start with your course. So we have our course homepage. So organizing that banner, we have a whole section on getting the banner and then creating a custom banner. We have directions on how to do that. And we have templates that you can use. And it gives you the exact dimensions of what you would need to create that custom banner. So you can put that image that you want in that custom banner. I'm not going to get into that today just for the sake of time, but I did want to point this out that we have step-by-step directions on how to create that custom banner and the sizes you would need for that. Once you have that custom banner built in one of the templates, you can download it, and then we would upload that into our classroom. And it's super simple. Go hover over your banner, select the three dots, custom, and you either change image or customize banner text. Changing the image just allows you to upload that custom banner image that you just created. We also have other built-in Brightspace banners that you can choose from, anywhere from as you can see, starts off very scientific to playground equipment. So you can also use one of these. Changing that banner text is another great thing to do for your students. It customizes it, makes it feel more, I don't even know what word I'm looking for right now, just personal to them. So let's customize that banner text. And one of the things that you can do is replace strings. Brightspace uses strings so that it will become more personal to the student. So you can see right here, I have welcome to the ACBS testing sandbox 1, and then I put in the replace string first name. Let me zoom in on that just a little bit because I know that could be hard for some to see. There we go. So just FIRST NAME in the curly Q brackets, that will put the first name of the student. Just don't forget to change it over to custom. If you use course name, it gives you that 1AB, 10AB, whatever comes down from PowerSchool. So you can change that to that custom name and then you save. And as you can see here, we have that custom banner text with my first name in it. Next, let's talk about that custom widget piece. So building a custom widget sounds a little scary. It is not. I'm sure many of you have already done it or shown someone how to do it, but if you're not quite familiar, we're going to go through that really quick. So let's go ahead and head into our course admin. I know we have shortcuts for editing the nav bar, or down here at the bottom, you can edit the home page by hitting the three dots. I like to just use course admin because it gives me everything I need in one place. Then I don't miss anything. And it's just how I do it. So we're going to head in and look at widgets. So in the widgets, you can see the widgets that are available to you. You can also see any custom widgets that you've created. So you can see anything that I'm allowed to edit does have this pencil here. Anything that doesn't have the pencil is probably came down from the school or the district. In order to create a widget, we just create widget. We're going to call this no idea if I'm spelling that right. I think I am. We don't need a description, don't need to change any of the other security settings. Right now, we don't need any to mess with release conditions. This would be maybe if you only want certain groups to see it, or if you are someone who edits your school homepage, this could come in handy as far as release conditions go to maybe only teachers can see this widget. So if you're, a link to your shared drive could be something there, or a calendar that's only for staff. You could do a release condition just to staff. So that's a nice option. So we're just going to head into the content tab. The content tab is where you actually put your Bitmoji classroom. A Bitmoji classroom is really just, whoop, I already have one pulled up here. Sheila, I just took a screenshot of yours because it works. It's October. We have the pumpkin, and I like it because it's very simple. It's one slide with 2 links of something our students something meaningful our students can do once they access Brightspace. They log in, they find the B, they go to the homepage. 3 steps. Our students with practice, like Sheila said, can do this. So I have it up. I just like to have it up because when I go back to content, it's going to be easy for me to find. So it's going to recognize it as something recent that I did. So that's just a trick, and easy way to find something in Google is to just bring it up. So it's a recent document or recent file that you've used. To embed that file, I'm just going to go to Insert Stuff. Insert Stuff is probably my favorite option in the Brightspace editor. And since I'm using a slide deck, Bitmoji Classroom, I'm going to do a Google file embedded all the way down at the bottom of Insert Stuff. Hopefully this doesn't make a liar out of me. I hope it's a recent. Otherwise, I'd have to search for it, or, got to get through the read-write stuff here. There we go. Oh, look at that. It was a recent. You can see I'm in the recent here. So I'm just going to grab that. I'm going to add it. I'm going to attach it. Don't forget, it does need to be anyone with the link in view so that our students can access it. And I'm going to insert. So I just built a custom widget right in front of you that from start to finish. Save and close. Don't forget, the custom widget will not just appear on your homepage. You do need to add it to your homepages. So what's nice is I was in the widgets area of Course Admin. Now I have easy access to homepages. So whatever homepage you are using as the active homepage, you need to add it. Don't forget, if you're just using the default one that came down from the district, you would need to make your copy of it so that you can edit. But I've already done that. I've already made a copy. I've already edited it. I can see right here, ASCPS Sandbox Testing 1 is my active homepage. So I know once I edit that homepage, it will appear for my students. So I'm just going to come down. I want to add widgets. I will find that Bitmoji. B is nice. There it is. And I will save and close. So that'll be added to my homepage there. Let's go ahead and head back. All right. Any questions, comments as we're waiting for that to load? I think when the chat looks good. All right. So there's our Bitmoji Classroom. Don't forget, you can always go back in, move it around, but and then that can be updated as you go, live document, and it'll be updated for our students. All right, so let's move on to announcements. So I've, for the sake of time, already created an announcement just so you can kind of see some of the things that we are recommending you do for your students. Some of those things are I use color coding. I used emojis. That Windows period keyboard shortcut gives you all of those emojis. That 1, the 2, the 3 are all emojis. So that gives students kind of a visual reference to the directions, but I've also embedded a video. I think video notes, audio notes are key to using Brightspace, using really a lot of applications with our little techies, our early learners, our non-readers. So those are 2 important things that I think you should kind of take away from this with using Brightspace, is making the text visual in a way, and also using video and audio notes. I'm going to go ahead and edit this one just so you can kind of see what I did to set this up. So let's go ahead and edit. The alternative would just be new announcement. But I just want to take you through what I did here. So one thing I did is you can see that they are side by side. I kind of like it. It takes up less real estate. It's not less scrolling for our students. So what I did is I actually used for announcements. I wish the plus sign had a layouts feature, something that I think will be coming to Brightspace soon, but not quite there yet. So I just use a table, and then my table properties, I just make the border width 0. So then it's a side by side, and we don't see the lines. So then I can put my text on one side and my video audio note on the other. Like I said, Windows period gives you those emojis. You can always color code the text, and then creating that video or audio note is just done by going into my favorite option, insert stuff. Come on now. There we go. And then we're going to add a video note. Very straightforward creating these. You have just click on new recording. If you want audio only, where you're just going to read the directions to students, you can turn off the video, do your new recording. This will take you through the steps, and it will be embedded right where you want it in your announcement. One of the newer, not newer, excuse me. Don't forget, if you are editing a major edit, we'll put it back to the top for our students and give them a notification. You always have your availability, your release dates. I always recommend putting an end date on announcements just so they don't stay there for our students. So if it's a one-day thing, couple-day thing, you can decide that there. One of the newer features of announcements I do want to point out, I'm not sure if everyone's aware, is you can now pin announcements. So if you have an announcement that you want to stay at the top of the student's announcement widget, use the drop down and you can pin to the top. So similar to, I know you can do that with activity feed, you can now do that with announcements. All right. So that's kind of leveraging that homepage. I did see something. Does it still allow you to record student work, or is this more just for sharing? It's just for sharing content, Samantha. Yeah, that's. I think you might be referring to a Google assignment versus just putting a document in a custom widget, or just sharing a document with students, maybe in content. Let me know. Okay. Yes, I did it. That was my next question. Did I answer your question? All right, so one thing that something else I wanted to touch on was just navigation in Brightspace. And navigation really anywhere, but since I'm doing Brightspace, we'll focus on that. Wrong one. That's later today. If you want to come to what's new in Brightspace, little plug for that. There we go. Navigation. So using your dock camera, using your smartboard, excuse me, and putting up whatever you want your students to navigate and just giving them those step-by-step directions, modeling for them, I think is important. But also we have the media library, and the media library now allows you to do screen recording in Brightspace. So that allows you to create short videos of you navigating an application and then posting it for your students. That same, that could be posted in announcements, it could be posted in content for your students. So when you're in your course, you can go to Course Tools and head to your media library. The media library allows you to create video, just like Video Note, create audio, just like Audio Note. But it also, if you use media library, which is slightly different than a video or audio note, it allows you to share your screen. You can also choose to have yourself either down in the corner, or if you turn the camera off, not, and it's just sharing your screen. And you can also record audio and give your students an idea of what they should be doing or where they should be going in Brightspace, or what you would like them to do on a slide deck, how to drag and drop in Lumio, Nearpod, whatever, so you could show them. Once you have that recording created, going to go ahead and get out of that for a second. Once you have that recording created, just use insert stuff. And instead of choosing video note, just choose media library. You'll be able to find the recording you created and insert it anywhere in Brightspace. So that insert stuff, again, gives you that option either to create a video note, audio note, or something you create in your media library, embed it. And that's any course. So if you created if you're running multiple courses, you created one video, you can create one video in media library and then use insert stuff to grab that for multiple courses. So that's a nice feature as well. Right. I saw another question. One thing I've done with audio and record English. Oh, record in English and Spanish. I use Google Translate and recorded. Yep. Yeah, that's a great idea. And it does. And I did not mention this, but Video Note and the media library does create captions automatically for you. Just have to choose that option. It'll create it in the language you're speaking, but it does do that for any video that you create. The closed captions can also be edited later on in media library. So if you did want to edit the English closed captions, convert them to Spanish for your students, you could do that as well. All right, so moving on. Next, we're going to quickly get into just posting content. So when we're posting content, some things to remember, I think you're going to see a theme here, is using emojis, using images for your students, easier for them to find. Manually toggling off visibility or using those availability dates so that your students only see what you want them to see at the time that you want to see them. I think that's important, that it makes navigation for them much easier once you kind of move on from just using the homepage to getting into that content tool for your students. Using HTML docs with Creator Plus makes things super engaging, but also allows you to chunk material for your students so that they only see certain portions of or certain activities at a time. And then one thing you can consider is an early finishers unit or lesson, where when they're done with something, they have an activity that they can go and do, and they know it's there at all times. One of those things could be typing club, or just coming out in Adobe Express is the new drawing and coloring pages. And you can link directly to that template where they can choose a coloring page and they can color in Adobe Express. Just to kind of show what that could look like. Media library did take me out of my course since it is for your entire account, not just for one course. So that's why I'm having to go back to my testing sandbox now. Again, while we're waiting to load, this is a great time. Any questions, comments? Aha. I never like that ahas, but ahas. All right, let's head into content then. And I'm just going, oh, go ahead. I heard somebody.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
One thing I was wondering, especially when you're doing this really early on, I find that as a cultural arts teacher, I find that often I'm the first time that some of those really littles are using technology, just because the classroom teachers are doing a bunch of other stuff with curriculum, and then once I bring it in, they feel more comfortable trying in their room. Do you recommend those first few times? Would you do it in like a small group where you guide them in this like really directly, or is this something that you're like leading the room? And I know Darren, you probably have some perspective, but Sheila, you too, if you've found one way successful over another, what would you say?
I think I might let Sheila start with this one because she's definitely the expert when it comes to working with littles.
I have done it both ways. Usually the very first time I have them log in, I pull them as a small group and do it the first time, small group, while the rest are in literacy centers or math centers, and start teaching them how to log in. The other thing that I do when I do it large group, once they've probably logged in once or twice, we will do it large group, but I use that it was on one of the slides Darren showed, the view as student. So I bring up my Brightspace and I put it on the smart board and I toggle it to view as student. so that my screen looks exactly like theirs. And then that way I can say with the emojis, I want you to touch the book at the top, or I want you to touch, you know, on the Bitmoji classroom, I want you to touch the pumpkin, so that mine looks exactly like theirs and they can follow right along.
Yeah, and I
Awesome.
forgot to mention that. Yeah, I was saying, you know, using the smartboard, but you're viewing as the student when you're doing that. I did not mention that. Yes, good. Thank you.
Yeah, that's very, very helpful for them. And then if you have the emojis, so they're not, um, you know, like this week, mine's a pumpkin. So I tell them, touch the leaf, touch the pumpkin. And then I also drag whatever we're working on to the top. So whatever we're doing is always at the top.
Awesome. Yeah, those little tips are definitely helpful because yeah, those small steps can be rough for some of the pre-K especially.
Yes.
Thank you. I
You're
appreciate it.
welcome.
And yeah, Sheila said drag everything to the top, but also turn everything else off too, like visibility, just manually turn it off.
Yes.
Miss Sachs, you had a question.
Yes, I'm just gonna piggyback off of Daniel. So like in media class, when the young ones, I mean, I honestly avoid using it with pre-K because just with book checkout and everything, like they're not on it enough consistently between the two pre-K classes to get onto the computer, and a lot of time, and it's just hard to pull them with a small group with having close to 20 in a class. So I mean, if that's the best suggestion, just pulling them in a small group is, I mean, I could see Brightspace using that for the kindergarten in the cultural arts, but for the pre-K, is it okay to like avoid using the Brightspace with them just for that reason? And like, I'm trying to find the simplest way to get them on the computer. It's just so hard with the time frame when it comes to book checkout and them never being on the computer. And
yeah, I think you do what's best for you and what's best for your students. And if Brightspace is not part of that equation, I think that's okay. You know, Brightspace is meant to enhance what we're doing. If it will enhance what we're doing, if it's just a burden at, you know, at a certain point in the year or for a certain group of students, then I don't think it's the best tool. So you really need to do, you know, that's why I'm glad that there's not the, you know, the hard expectations that we have. You know, we get to use it as we see fit as educators.
Okay, and then also, with that being said, with the little ones, when they're logging on, I know in the beginning, Sheila said how you assign the specific computers to each student. The problem is when we're using it in cultural arts, and I've run into this a lot, my kindergartners, because they just don't use the computers that much due to curriculum. They should be in the classroom, and when they're using my computers in the media center, we use those with the entire school. So there comes lots of issues where different things are popping up on the screen, and it's just chaotic running all over the place. So is there any other suggestions like how to minimize that frustration? I mean, because we have the login cards, but I can't stop everything from popping up. And by the time that happens, we're done.
I'd say maybe just do it in smaller groups.
Okay.
Would be good. Are you using computers or Chromebooks?
Chromebooks, I mean, yes.
So Chromebooks shouldn't make much of a difference. There's not that, you know, logging into a new Chromebook doesn't take longer because it's a new user. So you should be okay with that. But yeah, I think just, you know, giving just each week a group of students gets to do it. And then you just, as a rotation, maybe, you know, each month they're going to get on at least. And that could be a station that you have while others are doing other things. And then I think more manageable that way.
Okay. Thank you.
And also with pre-K, if their assistants are with them, have them help as well. And then if they have login cards in the classroom, like I know when I made my login cards for my kids, I made a copy of them and gave them to the specials teachers that use the Chromebooks so that they have a set to use as well.
Yeah. I mean, I just feel for the teachers right now because I know the workload's so much in the classroom. I was a former classroom teacher, so I try to take as much as little away, like as much as I can away from them. So we try to ask them to what their cards look like, and my TA has mimicked their cards as well in the media center.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just have we ran into last year in the fourth marking period, my kindergartners still couldn't log on to the computer, and it was very frustrating because I couldn't do certain assignments with them. So That's what I'm trying to avoid this year.
Yeah, I think they really just like Sheila said, they just need to practice as much and as consistently as possible. I know they don't see you as often, so if you could just get the classroom teacher to just help get them to log on. Like when I was talking about announcements, it's really I'm just using the announcements to tell them to do something that not on the computer. It was get an orange piece of paper and fold it in half. And then I know that they were able to successfully log in because I see them getting up and getting the piece of paper and folding it in half. That's my indication that they were able to log in successfully.
Okay, that's a great idea. Thank you so much.
Another one we've done is shared with parents. So we sent their login cards home as well when they got their Chromebooks.
Yes.
And we put that for probably the first month of school as one of our like reminders for the week. Practice logging in with your child.
Homework.
So that they're doing some of so that they're doing some of it at home just to get some extra practice. And that's been really good.
And like making sure the families know, like, don't do it for them, like guide them. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think we had one more from Megan and then we'll keep going.
Oh, no, I was just agreeing that
sorry. Sorry, I
we
thought
send the passwords home. Yep.
Sounds good. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I thought, did you call on me or was it someone else?
I just saw a hand up. It was Megan. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to piggyback off I'm a kindergarten teacher, so we struggle for the first couple months to log on. And it was great because Sheila then just said she tells her parents. So what we do is we send a little calendar home. So for the whole month of October, the first like 2 weeks, it's just practicing logging on. And that's what we do. I know homework's not mandated, but that's how we get them to do it. And then they color in their smiley face if they're able to do it. And they keep practicing. And eventually it does help. So if there's any kindergarten teachers in this group, that's how we kind of get the support at home so that it goes a little bit faster for us too. So I just wanted to share that little piece.
And I think that's a great idea. Then I'm just thinking now, that's a homework activity. They go home, their parents are there looking over their screen while they're logging in. And then, then you add on, all right, go to Brightspace and there'll be a special message from your teacher. And you just post an announcement to parents even, like introducing yourself, telling them something unique about yourself. I don't know, just anything, or what your phone number is so they can get a hold of you. So that's a great idea. All right, so I'm just going to really quick touch on just my last couple of points because I know Sheila has some really cool Wixie stuff to share as well. So where was content? Yes, so just utilizing those emojis, utilizing Creator Plus. Creator Plus is an amazing dynamic tool that we have no time today to get into, but we are going to be having sessions on it. I know I sent those out to e-coaches and champions in their courses, so check that out. We're going to have 3 offered in November on using and creating the course of your dreams, they're calling it. But here's just a quick example of just a 4 seasons lesson. We have the call out boxes that are created with Creator Plus. We have the click and reveal, which is just, kind of, like I said, chunks it so they can see a piece, but then they get a video. We have a tabs activity. I'm sorry, this is not loading correctly, but each one has a video for students to watch about the different seasons. And then we have just a very simple drag and drop. And again, you could add emojis and pictures to this, but students can drag and drop. And I'm just going to do this so you can see. There we go. My screen's a little small. There we go. And then they can check their answers. So I was able to get one correct, but I can try again. This is, and just a self-assessment for students. So it's an engaging lesson. Students can, I think, mostly do on their own. And that's about it. Sorry, I got distracted. There was another question. Do you have class set up? Schools I support do not have Chromebooks. I honestly don't know the status of Chromebooks in the schools right now. I believe we're 1-to-1. As far as I know, we are still 1-to-1. Every student should have an assigned Chromebook, but I would talk with maybe your tech or your administration about that. Just looking really quickly, if you're ready to move on to an assignment, you've really got your students logging in, checking announcements, checking content. They're able to go in and manipulate and do what they need to do. You can maybe start with assignments. And I utilized just links to applications they already know, maybe like the math manipulatives or Tumble Books or any of those, anything from Mac and Via. And also just audio notes. So I'm just saying, I want you to do this. Here's a link to do it. Then I want you to do this. And that's all I'm doing for my students. And I know I did want to show you a few other things, but I do want to turn this back over to Sheila so that she can get into the Wixie piece. And if we have time, I want to show you what that looks like at the end. I'll show you what that looks like as in a student view. So let me know if you have any questions.
All right. Let me switch over. We're going to look next kind of at some of the applications that I use the most with my little ones. And let me scroll past these. So the first one we use, and probably the one we use the most during the year, is Wixie, because it has a lot of embedded tools that make it really friendly for kids who are not reading yet. And some of the things I do to support them is recording directions, letting them use the video to record their thinking, using the voice recording so that they can record their thinking, the undo button, teaching them about that undo button, and then limiting the options that they have when they open up Wixie. So when they come to Wixie, one of the first things I do is I set it so that this little icon here, the little clipboard, is directions. So I will set it so that it automatically opens up to those directions. And anything you type in here, Wixie will read to them, or you can record yourself giving those directions to them. So every assignment I make, I set it so that this is the first thing that they see when they open it, and I train them to go right ahead and push the play button to hear what they're asked to do. The other thing that I do with most of my assignments is limiting their options. So when you create an assignment, if you go under File, you can limit what they can do. So if you open it up, I know like for my kids, that symmetry tool is a disaster. If they click on that symmetry tool and it starts drawing all over the place, that just creates havoc. So when I go in, only the things that you check will be available to them. So at the beginning of the year, they might just get the paint tool, and that might be the only tool that shows up when they open up Wixie until we really learn how to use that. And then you can also limit the sticker choices. So if we're going to be working on a language arts assignment and I only want them to have letter stickers, you can go into the stickers, open up the folder you want, and then click on that lock this folder. So then that's the only folder of stickers that is going to open when they go to that sticker icon. And that way you don't have them also, like if we're doing living and non-living, you can lock to what you want, and you don't have them asking you, how do I spell this to find that picture, or them trying to search through tons of folders. So that's very helpful to just give them only what they need to complete the assignment. Some of the other things I use with my kids is Pebble Go. And one of the best things I found in Pebble Go for the kindergartners is the magic link button. So instead of having them go in and navigate through or trying to type what you want them to find in the search box, I open up, we just did citizenship. So I went to the folder with all the lessons on good citizenship, copied that magic link and put it in Brightspace so that it went right to the section I wanted them to be in. I do typing club with my kids probably starting in usually December, January timeframe. And there is, of course, the Jungle Junior that is very appropriate for young learners, which just kind of starts with finding the letters and typing the letters and not so much. It's very kid friendly, very primary friendly. So oh, that's cool, Miss Sachs. That's been a great one that I use with my little ones. The other thing my kids love is Kahoot. So for I teach PWS. My other teammates do foundations, but we try to do Fun Friday. So I'll create Kahoot for them. This one I believe was rhyming words, maybe. Yep, which one rhymes? So and just giving them at the beginning, I'll just give them 2 options. Now they're up to 4 options. We're doing beginning sounds. But you can create, they have a bank of clip art, or you can use your own clip art. This is clip art that I had that I used, but they love playing Kahoot, and it gets them very engaged in being able to log on quickly because they want to get in there to get started on the game. So it's a good one that encourages them to practice that logging in. And then just this week, we started doing Nearpod. And I really like Nearpod with them because, one, you can control the advancing of their screen if you're doing a live session. So you know they're where you want them to be. And we just start with the pencil tool. So this was one we did this week with beginning sounds. And they had to use their finger to write in the beginning sound that was missing. And with Nearpod, you can see every student's response as they're working. So I was able to quickly see like this friend here that I needed to go over and give some assistance to. And you still have access to that after you finish the Nearpod. So I can go back later to look for small groups who might need some extra support with that skill. And then the Office of Technology has a ton of resources and projects already ready for kids. So if you go into the tech connections for pre-K and kindergarten, you will find a ton of projects and resources there. And if you go into Wixie, you can go to the Anne Arundel County Public Schools, and they have projects already done for language arts, for math, that you can use the templates for. You can also copy them and then edit them for your kids. So like I'll take one of those projects and I'll make a copy and go in and record my directions and set it so that it opens up to that direction page. And then these are just some examples of things I've done with my kids. Let me see. Let me switch over my sharing. Entire screen. Okay. So let's see. This was one we did last year, which was a beginning picture sort. And this is one of the ones you can find already done in the projects from the county. And then this is another one that was already done, that's subtraction. So the students get to X out the pictures to do the subtraction problem and then write in their answer. Let's hide if this will let me. There you go. So you can see how they went in, they X, and then write their answer. And then in social studies, this is one where they dragged the words to label the parts of the plant and then did their own picture. And oh, you can also hear they recorded their voice. So I do that a lot with my kids, is teach them um, the recording your voice or recording the video. So after they do a math problem, I'll have them record how they know that's the answer, or I will have them, like after that science one, record what a plant needs to grow so that I have evidence of their thinking as well. And then let's see, I have one more for those of you that do the Alps stepping stones. One of the units is on oceans, and we read all kinds of books about oceans, and they're supposed to build a diorama. And my school was getting ready to move into our new building, so everything was packed. So I showed them how to do how to make gifts on Wixie. So they had to build their own ocean environment, and we animated it in Wixie after they created them. So that was another one. This obviously was very late in this year. This was probably May, June, because we were packing up our building. And that's it for me, Darren. Do you have anything else you want to?
Yeah, I'll actually go back and show kind of what that assignment could look like as a student, with the video or audio and the
Yeah.
link to the tool. So I'll just do that. And then, yeah, we can take some questions. We have about 7 minutes where you can explore some of the things that we've shared. I did share the slide deck, so there's links to the resources in our slide deck. It'll also be posted, and I think it's all going to go out later on as well. And don't let me forget, I will share the attendance for this session in just a second. So when I created that assignment, so just building numbers, use an emoji to kind of draw it out for the students, I just included a couple of audio files. So the student would listen to the audio file. Not sure if you can hear that, but they're going to click the picture of the counters. I linked to the Didex counters for students. They go and they build here. If you're really want to get fancy, you can teach students to take screenshots. That's easy to do on the Chromebooks. But then the next direction for students would for the audio would just be to pretty much tell me the numbers they built. Let's say it was 7 and 6. I think the direction was, a number greater than 5 and a number less than 10 or something like that. Can't remember exactly what it was, but they can submit. But Sheila also mentioned, recording audio, recording video. Students have the insert stuff in the editor. A student can go in and they can create a video note and they can explain what they did and tell about what they did. Students do have access to the media library. They could share their screen and show exactly what they did with a voiceover, and then they could add that to their assignment as long as you made it a file submission, a file or text submission. So there's lots of things you can do. I know we're not there yet, but as you kind of move on with your students and you have students, you might have a group that's ready for something like this. You can always just assign it to a certain group of students, and we can always talk about how to create those groups and use release conditions and all kinds of cool stuff that you can do within Brightspace. But then the student can just submit, and then as the teacher, I can quickly go in and review what they did in the assignment. So here I am in my assignment. I'm just going to go to the assignment. I'll see my assignment submissions. Close a tab here to help it go a little bit. So there's that most recent submission right there from my one student I have in this course that's actually doing work. Man. But I can see the submission that they submitted here. There's the new one right there, or there's the new one right there. But I can give them their feedback. I can use audio and video feedback for my students, either here or I have access to insert stuff right here. So a video note could be added, an audio note could be added with feedback. So lots of options for evaluating and giving feedback to students once they complete one of those assignments. So I'm done. I'm glad I was able to work with Sheila today on this. She's definitely the expert, but I got to throw in a couple things that you can do with those littles within Brightspace. So I thank you for all listening. So yeah, we are here for the next couple minutes. So if you have any questions, I think we have 5 minutes left. And then I think you get like a 10-minute break between your next session. So let us know if you have any questions, just anything you want to share that you've done would be awesome. I know you have a captive audience here of people who do the same thing as you. So if you want to share, please do.
And I know my email is at the end of the presentation as well. So if you think of something later, feel free to send me a message.
I just have, I guess it's a question. So we just got triple E this year for the first time ever. So it's our first year without having a long day. And that long day was when we really like focused on having them browse ClassLink, logging in for the first couple months. So we're kind of at like that tough part that we just don't know where to fit in the logging in, because we all know as teaching the littles that it takes forever. And I have 21 kiddos this year, and we have one TA for all 3 classrooms. So it's me solely teaching. So it's just tough because if I'm pulling these small groups to teach other skills, I'm just trying to find a good time to have them practice logging in. And it's just been really tough. So I wanted to see if anyone has their thoughts on it when they do it, because I don't have that hour block that I used to the past couple years.
We do for morning work as they're coming in, and then that way they're not all there. That's one of the times we use is having that as a morning work assignment. And then because we have that Bitmoji classroom in the Brightspace, the ones who get in can go right to that and click, and it has some games and activities that they can do so that they're not just mindlessly logging in, but also it frees me up that they're not all coming in at the same time. And then we also alternate which class is doing that on that day so that the assistant can be in. So if my class is doing logging in for morning work on Monday, the other classes aren't, so that the assistant kind of is more available to help in my room on that day as they're arriving. And that's another one we've used our assistant for as well, is pulling small groups. She pulls small groups during math time and during literacy time. So at the beginning of the year, when we're still learning the kids and learning who's going to need that assistance, she would pull groups and just work on logging in.
Awesome. I love the morning work idea, especially because now our kiddos are getting dropped off early because of the bus schedule. So we have all that like extra time before the school day actually starts. So that's really good.
Yeah.
Part to use it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We had a couple questions about will we ever have like a scan or maybe voice recognition? I really don't know. I know there's been talk of students being able to scan to log in, some type of QR code. If we ever, move on to different devices, newer devices, there's always maybe some fingerprint that could be done. I know I log into my computer at home with my fingerprint. So that is definitely, I think, a possibility. But with a district this size, we all know it'll take some time to get all of that vetted and the security ramifications of all that. So right now we are stuck with that 6-digit number, which in my opinion is not the most secure way to do things. I've had both of my own kids change their passwords. So people don't find out their birthday and log in as them. Yeah, I agree, Daniel. Well, we are at 10:20, so I'm going to go ahead and stop that recording. You all enjoy your break, and I'm sure I'll see you again. I have a new and Brightspace session. I think it's like after lunch, so if you want to check it out. Thanks, Sheila. I really appreciate you doing this today.
Thanks for doing this with me.
Yep.
Have a good rest of the day.